I was shocked to hear that my genetics didn't match my brother's. When the doctor said my brother needed a bone marrow transplant, the room went silent. Daniel was only 23, strong, healthy, always the one taking care of everyone else. And now his body had turned against him. The doctor said, "A sibling is usually the best chance for a match." Everyone turned toward me. I didn't hesitate. "I'll do it," I said. "Test me first." Mom's face changed just for a second, a flicker I'd never seen before. Fear, maybe. Or something deeper. Dad looked at the floor. The doctor smiled politely and said, "Good, we'll schedule your testing right away." But before I could even answer, Mom interrupted. "Actually, doctor," she said quickly, "maybe we should test other relatives first. Her health hasn't been good lately." That was a lie. I was fine, perfectly healthy. The doctor nodded, a bit confused, and said they'd start with cousins, aunts, uncles, but matches outside immediate family were rare. And still, my parents didn't mention me again. That night, I sat by Daniel's hospital bed. He looked weak, pale, barely awake. He whispered, "You'll get tested too, right?" I nodded, but something inside me twisted. Why didn't Mom want that? A few days passed. The doctor called to update the family. Still no matches. Again, I said I wanted to be tested. Mom cut me off. "They said they're handling it, Emily. Don't stress." Her tone was sharp, final, like a door slamming shut, but I couldn't let it go. Something felt wrong. The next morning, I went to the hospital alone. I found the same doctor and asked quietly, "Can you test me for compatibility with my brother?" He looked confused. "Your parents said you opted out for medical reasons." My stomach dropped. "I didn't," I said. He frowned. "Well, we can take your sample now. Just keep in mind, we'll need parental consent for the results to be shared since your father signed the authorization." I agreed anyway. They drew my blood. I didn't tell my parents. 3 days later, the doctor called. His voice was careful, measured. "Emily, there's something I need to clarify. Are you sure Daniel is your biological brother?" My mouth went dry. "What do you mean?" He hesitated. "The genetic markers aren't compatible for siblings. You're not a partial match, not even close." The words didn't make sense. I hung up and drove straight to the hospital, heart pounding so loud I could barely hear. I found Mom and Dad in the cafeteria. They were sitting close, whispering. When they saw me, Mom's face drained of color. I asked them directly, "Why did you stop me from being tested? What are you hiding?" They didn't answer. I repeated it louder. People turned to stare. Finally, Dad stood up. "Let's not do this here," he said quietly. We went outside into the hospital garden. The air felt heavy. Mom's eyes were wet before I even spoke again. I said, "The doctor told me. I'm not Daniel's match." "Not even close." "Why?" She broke. The kind of crying that sounds like it's been waiting for years. Dad tried to speak, but his voice cracked. Mom whispered, "You weren't supposed to find out this way." I couldn't breathe. What does that mean? And then she said the words that split my entire world apart. "You're not our biological daughter, Emily." Everything stopped. The noise, the breeze, the heartbeat in my chest. She went on, her voice trembling. "We adopted you when you were a baby. It was a private adoption. No one knew. We were told never to tell you, for your safety. There were complications with your birth family." I stepped back. It felt like the ground tilted. All the years, every memory, birthdays, school recitals, family photos, suddenly felt staged. I said, "So you lied to me my whole life?" Dad said softly, "We wanted to protect you. We thought the past was dangerous." I laughed through tears. "Protect me? You just destroyed me." Mom reached out, but I pulled away. I couldn't look at her. I couldn't look at either of them. I walked out of that hospital without saying goodbye. That night, I sat in my car outside the house, lights off, engine running. Every corner of that home had memories, but now they belonged to someone else, someone who didn't exist anymore. A few hours later, my phone buzzed. It was Daniel. He sounded weak but calm. He said, "Mom told me everything. I don't care what any test says. You're my sister, Emily. You always will be." I didn't realize I was crying until he said, "Please come tomorrow. I need you here." The next day I did. When I walked into his room, he smiled faintly. "I told them to test you again," he said, "just to confirm." The second test came back the same. No biological link. But when the doctor asked if we wanted to explore my records to find my real family, Daniel squeezed my hand and said, "No need. She's right here." And for the first time in days, I let myself breathe. Because maybe family isn't about shared DNA. Maybe it's about shared moments. The kind you bleed for, cry for, and never give up on. And even if I wasn't born into theirs, I knew without a doubt I'd been chosen. That somehow made me belong even more.